Hello and welcome to Coffee with Dr. Carla. I'm Dr. Carla and I have Fatimah here with me. We are so happy that you are joining us, and today we're going to talk about the concept of stigma around mental health, and hopefully we can kind of break some of this down. And more specifically, where we're going to go is kind of that intersection where culture, right, specifically the Arab Muslim culture and mental health intersect. And I know that, since I've met you, that this is an area that you want to, have some influence over. So maybe talk a little bit about what you've been noticing in the community, maybe, as you were growing up, or maybe since you chose to, get into the counseling profession, from whatever perspective. But what is it that you're noticing these days?
I think there's definitely a shift within my community in regards to seeking services for mental health. Growing up, I personally never heard of going or seeking mental health for any issues. It was anything that happened at home was supposed to be resolved within family,
Okay.
and you're just supposed to pray on it.
Okay.
So there was this sense of faith should kind of see you through any difficulties, which is, to some extent, there is this spirituality that I have that I think truly helps me kind of engage and keep hope alive. But there's been times where we needed to seek out additional professional help to be able to combat some of the mental health issues that we are facing with.
So culturally, would you have ever reached out to the leaders, say at the mosque, or to seek guidance?
Growing up?
Yeah, growing up. Was
Absolutely not.
Oh, absolutely not. Okay.
We never, it wasn't something that we would air.
Okay.
So family matters were dealt with at home.
Okay.
And we just kind of assume this facade that everything is fine and everything is great and no one needs anything.
So even though the idea that faith should bring you through, these faith leaders were not a part of that.
Right.
Okay.
So faith within the home, within the family,
Right.
is what gets you through.
Right. And
just
so that
relying.
each family, of course, is going to have
A different perspective.
a different perspective.
Or narrative regarding what that looks like and what that means.
Okay, that's very interesting.
Because Dr. Carter, I think there's a huge misconception regarding what our religious teachings are and what cultural dictates.
Okay.
So there's been times where we grew up with language used as this is sinful or wrong instead of this is culturally inappropriate.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay. And so the reality of it is, looking back, you can say now as an adult, with hindsight, that was more culturally,
Yes.
unacceptable as opposed to a sin.
Yes.
Religiously.
Yes. And actually religion teaches us to seek help. And there is services. And that self is important.
Yeah.
Where culture dictates self is not important as long as you are in part of this collective family unit.
Gotcha.
You are to do as told, and
so here's this tension.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Where religion, if we were to look at Islam as a faith, it actually teaches the opposite. So for me, when I started my journey of healing, I lost my mom at a young age, which impacted my who I am and what I kind of grew into.
Right.
And then when I became a mom, I started getting certain triggers, and I started to kind of engage in things that I was doing to kind of appease everyone around me, and not necessarily things that I felt I needed to do.
Gotcha.
So it was when I had my daughter that I said, hey, something doesn't fit right. Something doesn't look good. I'm not comfortable doing this. I had a heart-to-heart with my husband, and one of the things that I decided to do for myself is to speak to someone and engage in counseling and talk to someone that I truly respected and was a community member and I trusted.
Yes.
And I think that's the key when seeking help, or even identifying someone that you can have these conversations with. It is a small community, and I don't want to bring anything that's going to harm my parents or going to make my ruin my dad's reputation or my
Sure.
siblings, because unfortunately I come from a family where you are not just yourself, you are a reflection of your entire family. So if there's something that you're not doing right, it's going to be trickled down to your sister and your siblings.
Exactly.
And your issues are not just your issues.
Right.
So if you made a mistake, or if you engaged in bad behavior, then that whole family is tarnished.
Right. And while, you know, well, I think the piece that stood out though is the idea of being trusted, right? So like,
Yes.
so the motivation for you is that I need to be able to trust this person, not to then, you know, openly share what's happening, you know,
Absolutely.
to keep what's going on between the two of you confidential, right?
Absolutely.
But if you think about it, regardless of what your cultural upbringing is, isn't that what we all want?
Absolutely.
Like, why would you talk to me if you know that in 2 minutes I'm going to turn around and blab it on to somebody else? Oh my God, you should have heard what Fatima told me. Blah 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 blah.
Absolutely.
Right? Like, so like, regardless of culture, you know, that is so important.
Yes.
But culturally for you, it's mega important because there's this. It's more than a trickle down. I think there's some like shockwave effects, right? Because if it was just a little trickle, then it'd be like, okay, well that's not nice. But
Sure.
I think it's a little bit more than it's not
deeper.
nice. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Interesting. Okay.
Because what I might say or might share with someone is not just going to impact me. And then how and again, it's finding that courage to say, but I need to say something, I need to do something, I need to talk to someone.
Yeah.
So for me, finding that sense of community in regards to who do I turn to. I don't want it to be family, because I don't. Again, it's also that sense of like, I don't want to burden anyone in my family
Okay.
with this heaviness or with whatever I need to share.
Right.
So then, how do you identify a safe person to talk to?
Right.
And someone that's not going to judge you or judge your family based on what you look like, what you believe, what your culture dictates. Someone that, for me, it was, I needed to find someone that's not going to also ask me or make a statement in regards to, but isn't this part of your culture?
So somebody who's also culturally competent, right? Yeah, okay.
And what does that mean, culturally competent?
Well, I mean, to me, it's understanding that you don't understand everything, you know? I mean, that's what makes you competent, I think, is
Yes.
being willing to say, well, you know, I'm not really sure how this translates in your world, but maybe you can help me understand it, right? Like, you know, so you have to be vulnerable on both sides, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And for me, Dr. Carter, it was even within members of my own community. So I reached out
Okay.
to a member within my own community that was a counselor, and one of the things that I just felt like it wasn't a good fit for me.
Right.
Maybe because I also went in expecting certain things in a counseling relationship, in a
Okay.
therapeutic relationship, that it wasn't reciprocated.
Okay.
But I was also a bit hesitant to even reach out to someone within my own community.
Sure.
So I felt that if I wasn't able to trust someone within my own community, or find, or at least give that chance, then as a professional, how am I expecting others to kind of come in,
For sure.
right?
Right, and even more importantly, if you can't trust somebody who's within your own community, then how do you trust somebody outside of that community?
Absolutely.
Like, you know, the stakes just double, triple, quadruple,
Right.
right? When they're, you know, clearly or seemingly have less insight as to what it means to be you.
Yes. To be me in all of my, in all of me, and not just seeing the parts of me that I think part of going to counseling and learning is also kind of sitting with the heavy stuff
Yeah.
and having someone challenge you. I don't know if challenge is the right word, but to kind of bring up issues.
And help you look at them from different perspectives,
Yes.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So good. And, you know, hopefully somebody who needed to hear this will understand that there's so many different places you can find that safe, trusted person.
Yes.
You know, maybe the cognitive clinic might be that place, but if we're not, we can definitely help you find that place. So, please reach out to anybody and start that journey to figuring out who you can trust and, what kind of things you need in place so that you can feel safe. So remember, you could change your thoughts, discover your potential, and transform your life by focusing on your overall well-being. So until next time, continue working on being the best you possible. Bye now.